was the day that I launched my first women's conference at Santa Ana College next Monday, 43 years ago. I had no idea what I was doing. My president said, we need a women's conference. I said, okay. I was running student services programs and a foundation to raise money for the Orange Canyon campus, which is Santiago Canyon College right now. And I said, okay, we can do that. So I thought, well, we might as well do it. We'll do it big. We won't do it one day. We'll do a week. Big mistake. Way big mistake. We had events from Monday to Friday, and on Saturday I organized a 10K run. Really super big mistake. But it was a wonderful experience, so this is memorable to me. I want to thank you for this recognition and the Women's Caucus in West Valley College. I haven't been to West Valley College for quite a while. One of my vice presidents became the president of West Valley College in 2004, Dr. Phil Hartley. And I was here and he walked me by the stream. I remember that, and it was cold and it was muddy, but we had a nice walk by the stream, and I said, you could have warned me about the high heels. Not his, mine. So I was asked to make a few comments in regards to the theme, moving forward together, women in education and inspiring generations. I'm really pleased to do that. So for me, I was a first generation college degree recipient as well. I came from a farming background in rural Minnesota. And one of my role models was my grandmother. So someone spoke about their grandmother and their mother before. My grandmother went to normal school, which was the way people became teachers a long time ago. And you could go to normal school instead of go public school back in the day. This would have been in the early 1900s, and become a teacher. So she became a teacher when she was 16 in a one-room schoolhouse that I got to attend and be taught by my grandmother when I spent summers there taught where my grandmother had taught when I spent summers there many years later. I had a really great opportunity to have my grandmother as a role model. She was a courageous woman. She was, she took no excuses, no whining regarding anything when you were at grandma's. Outdoor plumbing down the road. So In-N-Out for me, I learned In-N-Out before In-N-Out burger chain became popular. Man, I wanted to get in and out as fast as humanly possible because it didn't smell very good in there. She never had running water. She had a pump, and the stove, you put in wood blocks to be able to cook on that stove. My grandmother was very ambitious when she was first a teacher. She wanted to become a principal. So this was in 1905. She decided women should run schools. So off she went across the United States. I'm not sure how she got there, to Oregon. She became a principal of two schoolhouses. She came home because her mother became ill and she needed to take care of her. She came home, she got married to the boy across the road, 540 acres on each side of the road. And she had 4 children, and she became a widow when she was 31 years old. She stayed on that farm, 540 acres, until she was 91 years old. She ran that farm by herself, never had indoor plumbing. I used to say to her when I go visit when I was a teenager, she also didn't have any mirrors in the house. And between the outhouse, no mirrors and no shower. It was a challenge as a 15-year-old. And I would say, well, Grammy, when are you going to put in real plumbing? And she says, this has served me well today. I don't know why. I'd want to change now. And I was so inspired by that woman. She taught me that I could do anything if I didn't give up. You can, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can do it. If you don't give up, if you never ever give up. And I took that to heart as I moved on through my career. She figured out solutions when there weren't any. I mean, who had instruction manuals in when I was staying with her in 1960? Instruction manuals were something you got when you ordered the appliance, but people didn't. We weren't in a disposable economy. People kept things for a really, really long time. And when something broke, you couldn't find the instructions, and even if you had been able to, you couldn't get any technical assistance. So we learned to figure it out, and it became it wasn't an onerous, it was an opportunity to be able to solve problems and to be able to think creatively and to be able to figure things out. She inspired me to become a teacher. Now, the other reason she inspired me to become a teacher was because when I was in junior high school in Long Beach Unified School District, they didn't let girls take anything that I was interested in. I wanted to take wood shop. I wanted to take auto shop. I wanted to take tool and die. I wanted to build things. And I wanted to take drafting because what I really wanted to do was design things. I wanted to be an architect. And I was told summarily by Mr. Bill Jones, whose son owns the windsurfer shop where I buy my kayaks now. Girls can take secretarial science, they can take sewing, they can take cooking, they can take art, or they can sing in the Glee Club. Well, I inherited many things, great things about my grandmother, but one of them was her voice, and that was not so great because tone deaf. I was summarily, as I traveled around the United States, moved 13 times by the time I was in the 6th grade, tried out for every Glee Club and choir I could, and always redirected to teaching Sunday school, at least in the church side. So I kind of got that message. Art, I had zippo talent, couldn't draw to save me. I've been sewing since I was in the 6th grade, so for 2 or 3 years, and I don't like to cook, I like to bake. Cinnamon rolls happen to be my specialty. So the only thing left was typing. I was kicked out of typing 3 times by the time I finished 9th grade, and politely said, "This is not your future." And I said, "Well, you're telling me I didn't want to be here in the first place." So teaching was the option that I had. When I went to Long Beach City College, and I would encourage you, I was just thinking as someone was speaking, if you went to a community college and you have all those listings of your credentials on the bottom of your email, and you don't have that you got a degree or an alumni of a community college, please add that to that long list of email things that you do. Because when our students see, whether it's men or women, and in this case women, when they see people in positions that they want to be like those people, it provides a source of inspiration and role models that everybody needs to have. So please be proud. As the old song, be true to your school. Rah, rah, I think it's a Beach Boys. Be true to your school. Rah, rah, rah. Please be true to your school. I went off to Long Beach City College. I was supposed to go to Michigan, couldn't, another transfer in jobs in the family. Best thing I ever did, I met my husband there. Roger was my communications professor. I didn't want to take communications, almost dropped out of college because I said I'm not going to need to learn how to speak to teach kindergartners and 3rd graders. This is ridiculous, just let me go to calculus. That wasn't an option, couldn't do that. So I met my husband there. We were married for 50 years. He passed away 2.5 years ago. Huge role model for me. Beverly O'Neill, president of Long Beach City College, was my women's students advisor. She was an amazing role model for me and got me involved in student activities. To this day, I say, had I not been in student activities at Long Beach City College, I never would have known I could lead anything. It was an amazing experience. Many other role models along the way. When I got into, I taught middle school for 6 years, and I had a chance to work with Vera Eccles and Pat, I'll think of her last name. This was in 76, and put together a women's center at Cerritos College. I applied for a full-time job at Santa Ana, got a 1-year sabbatical leave replacement, left, went over there, started to do that work, and along about March, I decided, you know what, I don't want to go back and teach middle school. I loved it, but it wasn't enough creativity. I enjoyed the creativity, the possibilities, the designing opportunities that you had to imagine how you could design something to fill a gap so students could make it to where they wanted to go. So in those days, you could write grants, and they were all soft money grants, and people could hire you without advertising. So I wrote 9 grants. I didn't know what a grant was. Bill Winrick, the president of Santa Ana College, said, go write grants. I said, okay. I walked out and I said to his secretary, Jan Parker, she said, how'd it go? I said, well, good. It went pretty good. What's a grant? And she said, well, that's where you write something and you ask for money. I said, no problem. I can do that. And wrote 9 grants, got 7, and was very fortunate. I started the New Horizons program at Santa Ana College. Some of you maybe have been in the system long enough to remember when your district applied for and got state funding to run a New Horizons program, which was a precursor to women's services on campus for women on welfare. I ran VEA programs. My best, most exciting thing, I was gender equity coordinator at Santa Ana College in 1979. And I got to go in and explain to the departments that they could no longer get VEA, precursor to Perkins, 2 or 3 times removed, unless they put women in their brochures, used women's pictures in textbooks, and welcomed women into their courses. And it was not an easy task, but I wasn't there to win a popularity contest. I was there to help get women into positions that could be a living wage, that they could raise a family. And was very proud that we established a partnership with Sears down at South Coast Plaza in Southern California. They agreed to hire every woman that went through that program that passed the competency test, and they did. And it was a great initiative. We started a Women in Construction chapter down there. That's where the first one emerged from. So my work in opening doors and getting those ridiculous barriers out of the way, no, you can't weld, but you can type, is something I'm incredibly proud of. When I went on to Feather River College and Lake Tahoe Community College to get some administrative experience, I spent 4 years there. Had the great opportunity to be mentored by Pat Worth, who was at Yuba College as the president. And when I was going to start to apply for presidency, she said, don't get discouraged. I had to apply 10 times before I even got an interview. So buck it up, suck it up, Buttercup, and keep on going. And she was just this little tiny wisp of a gal, but tough as nails. March Waha, the chancellor at Los Rios, who at the time was at Solano, huge mentor and supporter of mine. When I applied at College of the Canyons, I applied 3 times. Applied for the presidency in '83, was a faculty member, didn't get it. Applied for the Dean of Instruction in '86, was number 2, didn't get it. My great Aunt Mabel used to say, 3rd time's the charm, dearie, just keep going. And so I applied the 3rd time and I got the job. As was mentioned earlier, I was one of 5 women out of the 70 districts at the time to head a district. Yes, gender was an issue, age was an issue. I guess you're not credible at 37. I guess you haven't lived long enough and been to enough battles. can tell you that 36 years later, 6 recessions, an earthquake, untold funding formulas in the state of California, none of which, by the way, have ever worked, none of them. I was very proud when I went to the college. I told classified staff in particular, if I can do, if I don't care what it's going to take, I'm going to have to figure it out, but I will never lay off a full-time classified staff member or a faculty member. I never did in 36 years. Not one person lost their job. It doesn't do any good to create opportunities and open doors and build bridges if you don't make sure they're sustainable, if there isn't some commitment and something you can count on. So I greatly appreciate that opportunity. I loved what I did in community colleges. Starting the New Horizons program was one of the highlights for me. Being involved in statewide professional development, starting the ACA Mentor program with Ed Velo, who was at Skyline College then, initiating the CEO Academy, doing ACA management, drive-in, fly-in workshops. This is before technology, you know. The only way you could get there was to drive in or fly in. We did not have any other way of connecting, which, by the way, someone spoke earlier about connecting. I think I really applaud you for doing this in person. I appreciate we could all be somewhere doing this on Zoom. But relationships don't happen on Zoom. As a matter of fact, eye contact is impossible on Zoom. Try to make eye contact on Zoom. Just try it. I dare you. I tried it during COVID. I tried every different way and could not make eye contact. Relationships are built between here and the parking lot. Relationships are built around this table. And that connectivity, that relationship that you have, that story that you tell will be instrumental in how you can influence and inspire other individuals to pursue this great work and to pursue their education. My husband Roger used to always say, no matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never, ever give up. And I think that's the message we need to send to people today. My world was simple when I went to college. There was no tuition. Right? Now we had to go where we lived. We couldn't go to any community college. You had to go where you lived. So you had to like one of their majors, right? Or you had to learn to like one of their majors. But our lives were relatively simple compared to what our students are going through today, compared to what our leaders are going through today. And so I think showing up and not giving up is really important. I think it's very important, and one of the students said it, I wish she was still here, because my first job in a community college was a part-time child development instructor at Long Beach City College. I didn't think I was scared to relate to adults, so I thought I'll try little ones. I had 2-year-olds. It worked perfect. And I think we all need to have, and we need to be those role models. I would encourage everyone to be committed to communication and collaborating and creating and connecting and caring. I am proud to have worked to do that, to design and to do, with the ability to hire so many talented people. When I left College of the Canyons last July, there were only 2 people working there who had not been hired since I started. 2 full-timers that were working there. Everyone else had been hired since I began. And when we attracted people, and I remember having a conversation with Wendy, another college was trying to woo her, and I said, she called me, I was on vacation.